So welcome to this advanced lesson on histograms. Basically, using a histogram will help you determine the highlights and the shadows and basically a really good exposure for your image. Most cameras will let you view a histogram after the fact, and some cameras will let you view a histogram while you're shooting. You can bring it up by usually pressing an info or display button. Now, the whole idea behind the histogram is viewing the actual levels in graph form. On the left side of the histogram, we'll see our shadows, and on the right side of the histogram, we'll see our highlights. Up and down will be the levels of exposure in the graph. So you want to get a really nice healthy exposure by having a good medium fat graph in the middle between your shadows and your highlights. You can see right now we're shooting William Shakespeare right now, and it's really heavy on our histogram on the left side, which means there's more shadows in the shot than there are highlights. Now watch as I cover the lens up. I let no light in and it's all shadow. So that would not be a good exposure. Let it open up and you see how it went from brightness as the camera adjusted its shutter. Now we have a nice fat histogram. I'm going to switch it over to manual so you can really see what we're doing here. Watch as I adjust the shutter on William Shakespeare and it gets brighter and brighter. That whole graph is moving towards the highlights because we're blowing things out. We're making our shutter slower to let more light in, and it would not be a good exposure. So now let's go the other direction. So now we're at 25/100th of a second in our shutter, not letting a lot of light in. You can see our histogram is showing a deep side on the shadows, not a good exposure. So I could go ahead and just stare at a histogram without knowing any of the settings and understand what a good exposure is. That looks like a great exposure to me in manual mode. Now, if I didn't have anything else to look at and I was just looking at the histogram, or I was unsure if the highlights were going to be blown out, or I wasn't going to be able to see into the shadows, I would use the histogram to get a great exposure. If I saw any of the graph in the far left, the shadows would be gone. And if I saw any of the graph in the far right, the highlights would be gone. And that would not be good in post when we start to play with the photo.